Hi, welcome to the small shed. This Saturday I'm going to make a start on painting the walls in the garage. First I've got to take off everything that I put up there about 3 weeks ago. See you in a minute. Now I'm starting off on this side of the garage for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I've got to start somewhere. Secondly, there's a lot of boxing here that's never actually been screwed up properly because I couldn't get at the screws because of the wall units. This will enable me not only to get on and get the wall prepped and painted, but I can also get the boxing painted as well on the underside where the plaster isn't going to get any mess on it, I hope. The vertical faces can be painted on the ground. They can be accessed later from on the ground or up a set of steps. But once that is painted and fully secured all the way along there, I won't have to go back and do it again. And if the walls are painted down behind these units, so much the better. What it also enables me to do is have a good tidy up, because there's stuff here that probably should be thrown away that I've kept. You know, you've all done it because I might need it one day. There's some resin here that I know I did want. It was a specific type. I don't know whether it's got an end by date on it, but it's almost certainly 5 or 10 years out of date, which is no good at all for resins. That one hasn't got a date on it at all. That one's 2006-08, and in fact it's bulged up a bit by the look of it. So things like that are going to have to go, I think, because realistically I don't think it's going to be any good after 10, 20 years out of date or 15 years out of date. There's all sorts of stuff in here that can be culled, thinned out. There's all the shelving brackets, which hopefully I'll be putting shelving up, so I'll get rid of those and use them on the walls. And there's stuff in amongst here that I don't know what it is. I haven't really done anything other than just shove it up there at the moment. So I'm going to have a good clear out, start at the top, work my way down, clear all these out. Because the car's out the garage at the moment, I might as well take advantage of the space I've got to take the stuff out, put it down over there, take the units off, tidy up the paintwork and the ceiling, paint the walls, and then put the stuff back in a logical and sensible order, throwing away what I don't need. So that's the starter for today. It's going to take a few days to get this done, but at least we're making a start and getting some progress rather than just waiting until a plaster has been in 3, 4, 5 weeks time. So the first job's to take down all the stuff that I'd put up there. May seem a bit complex and double handling, waste of timey, but it's one of these things that you have to get the place vaguely straight to start with before you even know what you finally want, I suppose. But it meant taking down all the extra storage that I'd put up and getting the wall exposed. I could have painted the wall first, I suppose, but I couldn't get near it for stuff on the floor, so it's fairly circular sort of waste of time really, but it had to be done. And it enabled me to get at the ceiling that wasn't quite finished. This door opener has always been terribly noisy, and looking at it, it's quite unscientific. There's a pulley there with the counterweight or counter springs, and they literally just rub up and down the corner of the aluminium angle of the door, or the metal angle. It makes an awful lot of noise. I'm thinking about boxing it in anyway, but rather than just box it in, I might try and quieten it down a bit as well. See if I can stop this. See, I can stop it just by doing that. Right, that's got a bit of plastic attached to it. Let's make it better. Another little annoyance out of the way. Then it was on with painting the walls. It's a bit of a job to do because these are the rough external facing bricks of the house effectively. So it's a mixture of stippling and brushing, and it tends to wear the brush down fairly quickly, but it's getting a first coat on anyway, and once that's on it soaks up the moisture and it makes it easier to do the second coat once that one's dried off. Now it's only had one coat and it will still need a bit of work doing. I've got some remedial work to do down there where there's a brick replacement to take place. And I've got to obviously finish it off yet, but even now already with only one undercoat on, it's brought a tremendous amount of light into this area. Now I know once the units are back on the wall that'll darken it down with the stuff that's in it, but it's had quite a huge effect on the room itself. So by the time we get the ceiling painted white and all the exposed wall white, I think we're going to get on with a much better working environment for me. Fortunately, I'd had the foresight to paint behind the wall where the boiler was, although I'd missed some of the pipe work. It's made it much easier to get that done. But then it was down to hopefully fixing the units for the final time to get them back up on the wall. I've been out and spent 30 or 40 pounds on boxes that are all the right size to fit in the units that I've got, to sort of maximise storage, because otherwise you can fill a shelf up but it's not really very densely packed because you can't go up too high vertically normally with things like tools. So I've got the boxes which I'm putting stuff in, and that's helping to make it all a bit more organised. So here we are after 3 or 4 days work. It doesn't look a lot different to what it was when it started, but in many ways it is. Firstly, it is an awful lot brighter already. Even the bits of wall that are there that you wouldn't think would make a difference, it's brightened up the whole area. It reflects the light well, and so by the time we get the ceiling done and all the other walls, it'll be better, I'm sure. What I've also managed to achieve is to get all of the stuff in the boxes. I've got a new set of boxes and everything is now in a proper order. That is cable ties and electrical staples, that's electrical bits and pieces, that's car electrics, there's one behind each one, insulating tape, masks, stockinette stuff, electrical, cable, tools, sandpapers and abrasives, gloves, and the pressure washers there, so I can find stuff. That's one of the other things. And it's also meant that I've culled out probably the best part of a carload of stuff that's gone to the tip, so that's made a huge difference. I've also made a start on the other side, and in fact I shall be moving on to this area next, tidying this up, get the wall painted, probably put a shelf in, I'm not quite sure yet, and some shelving to get a little bit more storage there. And although again it doesn't look any different there, I've put all the nuts and bolts into proper containers, all cleaned up, ready to take all this out and start again on this wall, getting ready with the stuff I've got to hang for tool racks and that sort of thing. So it doesn't look a huge difference, but it's moved me on an awful lot in the whole process of getting the place up and running. So hopefully we'll start in a week or so's time and get all this other wall done, and we'll hopefully have it all done before the plasterer comes, and mean that the whole thing is probably moved on by 2 or 3 weeks further forward, if you like, than it would have been if I'd just sat around for 5 weeks waiting for a plasterer. Well, that's got me to a point where half the garage is painted, and more importantly it's a lot tidier than it was, although it probably doesn't look it at the moment. Next time we'll get over to the other side where I think there's a lot more work to do actually, but we'll see how we get on with that in a few weeks' time. Hope it was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next week. We'll be trying to do something different. I'll see you then. Bye.